Here's a look at a recap of your markets on this Friday, the 30th day of May. It's Friday, time to recap the entire week, and we got a lot to talk about, of course, on a Friday. End up with about 74,411 head of confirmed negotiated sales, gained about another 13,000 and some odd head today. In Texas, they had 6,885 head, live sales 221 to 223. That was mostly $3 higher. Kansas reported 9,161 head, 222 to 223 live. That was $1 to $3 higher. Iowa reported 19,419 head, 230 up to 237, mostly at 235, which was $5 higher. The dress sales ranged anywhere from 362 all the way up to 376 this week. Most of those sales fell around the 370 mark. In Nebraska, 24,164 head of confirmed negotiated sales. Live sales ranged from 231 to 237, mostly at the 235 mark. That was $4 to $5 higher. Dress sales at 365 to 370, mostly at 370. That's $3 to $5 higher for the week. When those weighted averages prices come in on Monday, the average on the live sales is going to be somewhere around 230, which will be up about $3. Dress sales will be slightly over 368, which will be about $5 higher for the week. Box beef cutout values. After opening slightly lower today, Choice did manage to close higher for the 11th straight consecutive day. 25 cents higher is what the Choice gained today, closing at $366.34. That was up $4.79 for the week. Select closed up $3 and a penny at $356.65. That's up $5.10 for the week. The Choice Select spread currently under $10 at $9.69. Volume today, 85 loads of cuts, trimmings, and grinds. Being a holiday week, many of the cattle auctions around the state of Missouri were closed this week, especially early in the week when most of our large volume auctions take place. When all's said and done, auction volume this week going to be just slightly over 10,000 head. That's a really light week in the state. There was a few stick-out sales, all the same, however. Unionville Livestock Auction, they had 7 full loads of reputation steers that show up about once a month there. Bit heavier this month than last month, 875 to 910 pounds. And those 7 loads sold from $293.75 to $299.50. Kingsville Livestock Auction, they sold 111 head of 909-pound steers at $295. 45 head of 750-pound steers brought $323. Unionville Livestock Auction also had 22 head of 707-pound steers at $339. The weighted average price statewide on the light volume this week for light 7-weight steers at $330. Then when we get down to the calves, it was really hard to find any big drafts this week. Most of the calves that showed up at the 7 feeder cattle auctions that were held this week, they were small gooseneck-sized loads. Did have 19 head of 538-pound steers at Ozarks Regional Stockyards in West Plains, sold at $397.50. A lot of small drafts under 10 head this week, but they did sell pretty well and kept that weighted average price on the light 5-weight steers at an even $4. Taking a look at the heifers, there was 10 head of 505-pound heifers at Windsor Livestock Auction that sold at $382.50. The weighted average price statewide on those light 5-weight heifers at $353. Had 151 head of 730-pound heifers that sold at Kingsville Livestock Auction for $317.50. The weight average price statewide on those light 7-weight heifers at $313. Although we don't talk about it a lot, we do want to bring some attention to the slaughter cattle market. That market continues to get higher. The average price on the breaking and boning average dressing cows right now, around $150. High dressing cows bringing up to $160. Slaughter bulls, we've got some high dressing slaughter bulls right now. They're getting up into the high teens, low 20s. So it is a good time to take advantage of the value of those cull cows and bulls if you have any that need to be marketed. Taking a look at the futures markets for the week, Live cattle 33 to 142 lower. Lean hogs were 225 to 375 higher. Feeder cattle 123 to 165 lower. On Friday, live cattle for June 215.47. That was down a nickel. That's $15 below what the cash market is right now. An unbelievably wide spread that, of course, we've never seen anything that wide before. August live cattle on Friday closed at 209.35, down 72. October at 207.40, down 75. Feeder cattle, August 298.82, down $1.10. September 297.70, down 115. October at 295.70, down 105. The CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index, despite what happened in the futures this week, cash is still king, and there was several states that had more auctions than what Missouri actually did this week, and that really pushed the index up on that 800 base weight steer. The index currently setting at 299.30. That was up $1.55 for the day, getting real close to that $300 mark once again. Lean hogs, June was up $1.30 for the day, 101.32. July at 104.92, up 195. In August, 105.02, up 162. Turning our attention to the grain markets, at the elevators around the state this week, soybeans were 4 to 19 lower, wheat 3 to 8 lower, corn 13 to 15 lower. Corn bids in the St. Louis region, 466, Kansas City 414 to 452. Soybean bids, St. Louis 1056, Kansas City 1021 to 1066. Wheat bids in St. Louis 534, in Kansas City 529. Taking a look at the Board of Trade for the week, soybeans were 18 to 24 lower, wheat 9 to 10 lower, corn 10 to 16 lower. On Friday, July corn closed down 3 cents at 4.44, September 4.23 and a quarter, down 4, December 4.38 and a half, down 2 3/4. Soybeans for July 10.41 and 3/4, down a dime. August 10.36 and 3/4, down 10 3/4. September at 10.18, down 12. Wheat contracts, July was unchanged on Friday at 5.34. September closed a half cent lower, 5.48 and a quarter. December at 5.71, down a half penny. Soybean meal for July down 10 cents a ton at 296.30. Soybean oil for July down $1.50 a hundredweight at 46.89. With the Missouri Department of Agriculture, that's a recap of our markets for this week. This is Tony Hancock.